Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Mogdog. So in your exploration travels, you've come across a covert research facility. Now, I wanted to make this video because these particular sites are not for the faint of heart and they're not for the ill-prepared. If you do this wrong, you're going to lose your ship. Let me make that perfectly clear. If you do this wrong, you're going to lose your ship. Alright, so let's go over what you need to do to make yourself successful in these sites. First off, before we go in, it's important to note that there is an invisible timer that you have no idea how long this timer is, and once that timer expires, the whole site explodes and you will likely be losing your ship, unless you're doing some sort of weird hacking with like a battle cruiser or something like that that can tank 10,000 plus damage. But most people hack in, some sort of exploration frigate or something along those lines. There's various other strategies to do these sites where you can potentially get, the whole site by doing it with a team effort, or like I said, hacking with some sort of crazy battleship, maybe, or even a battle cruiser like a Gnosis or something like that, where you can actually tank the damage. But we're not going to be taking that approach to this particular site. We're going to be hacking in just a regular exploration frigate. In fact, what I have is a Cheetah, so that's a Tech 2 variant, but you can do these in any good old exploration frigate like a probe or whatever the case may be. Alright, so we'll go over the fit that's on my frigate at the end of the video, but let's just talk a little bit about the site before I warp in. And I'm not just warping in because, like I said, there is that sort of invisible timer, and once that timer expires, the site's just going to explode. I'm going to be doing one in low sec today, but don't kid yourself, the ones in high sec are equally as dangerous. When they explode, you're not going to be able to tank the damage with any good old exploration frigate. Okay, let's get to doing this. So once I warp in there, there's usually 4 or 5 cans, something like that. One of the cans is usually named something different, so we'll see that as soon as we warp into the site. That's the can that I'm going to be going for. It's not always going to be the best can, but there's not really a whole lot of time to do things like cargo scanning and stuff like that. Like I said, you have a very limited time in these sites, sometimes as little as 30 seconds. And it's also important to note that you only get one chance at hacking the cans. It's not like regular data sites where you get 2 cracks at a can. You get one chance. And if you fail that crack or you fail that hack, the whole site is going to explode. There have been reported incidences where only the particular can you're hacking is exploding, but for the most part, from my experience, the whole site basically just explodes and you die. Okay, so we're gonna warp in. I'm always a little nervous when I'm running these sites, and the hacking on these sites, just so you have an idea, is comparable to hacking any site of the sort of equivalent security status. So if you're equipped to hack low sec cans with your particular frigate, then you should be just fine doing this one as well. Alright, so here we go. We're warping into site. Now I have heard reports that if you warp in cloaked, the timer doesn't start until you uncloak, but I'm not going to say that, I can verify that for sure. Okay, so we have 2 databanks and 3 labs. I think what I'm going to do is just go for let's just go for one of these data banks, I guess. Seems like they always say you should go for the one that there is a less of, and usually a lot of times there is only one of a particular can, and that named can is usually the one you should probably go for. Okay, we're gonna try this data bank. So again, once you get there, you're just gonna play the typical hack game, and I'm going to be warping out as soon as the hack is done. These sites can be extremely lucrative. I mean, we can be talking into the hundreds or even several hundreds of millions of ISK. So, definitely worth the risk if you're willing to do it. Okay, here we go. Let's get this done. I don't like how long this is taking. Usually does not take me this long to do a can. Alright, here we go. Should be just about there. There it is. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, an electro and neuro rail. So we'll check out what that is later, but I am going to be warping out of here before the site explodes. And off we go. Okay, like I said, because of that timer, you really don't want to take a chance on hacking more than one can. It can be up to 2 minutes, so you do possibly have time to hack multiple cans, but like I said, even in the wiki, it shows that it can be as little as 30 seconds. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dock up. We'll be right back in just a moment, and we'll go over the fit on my Cheetah here, and we'll discuss, you know, some of the damages and stuff like that you can expect to receive if you do fail the site. So we'll be right back in just 1 second. And we're back. All right, I'm all docked up, but we're going to go over exactly some of the things I was talking about as far as the dangers in this site. Okay, so this is from the Eve wiki, which is an invaluable resource, of course. Okay, so under the Getting the Loot section on these covert research facilities, it says here, when you enter the site, a timer is started. The timer is random and is not shown. It does seem that the more ships that enter the site at once, the longer that is the timer. And the site timer varies considerably from around 30 seconds to a few minutes, but it is random. So for me, I just always assume it's going to be 30 seconds. I suppose if you're in, remember, pretty much every can in this site is going to give you, 50 to 100 million in each can. There just isn't enough time to grab them all. But I guess if you're in a cheap fit, maybe just a probe with, basic stuff, and you want to risk it, you could probably go for 2 cans. I always, I do all my exploration in my Cheetah. I don't particularly want to lose it. It's not super expensive ship, but, I really am not in the practice of losing ships. So I always just go for 1 can. All right, this is the part that's important to note. So the explosions will happen if the hidden timer expires. So again, that 30 seconds to a couple of minute timer, or if you fail a hacking attempt. It has been known that only one of the containers explode if failed. In this case, you may continue hacking, but the hidden timer is still running. And here are the kinds of damages that is going to be dealt if you're in the site when it explodes. So even in high sec, your ship's going to take 6,000 damage, and most exploration frigates are not going to be able to withstand that. So understand that even if you're doing these in high sec, the risk is still very real. And of course, the damage values go up, but so does the rewards for hacking the cans in the more lower security sites you go. And that's typical with most things in Eve. All right, so let's have a look at the reward I get for taking all of that risk. I happen to get an electro neuro rail. I have no idea what this does. Apparently it is required for a Neuralink protection cell blueprint, and the ISK value on this thing is 71 million. So like I said, you're not going to get a crappy reward for hacking any of the cans. They're almost all in the several millions to hundreds of millions in rewards. So these sites are definitely worth the risk, especially if, like I said, you're willing to just kind of jump in there in a cheap exploration frigate. All right, let's look at the fit on my Cheetah, and I will include this fit in the description below if you are interested. So I like to zip around everywhere. I'm not that concerned about my EHP. As you can see, I only have 1600 EHP on this poor Cheetah. The reality that I've accepted is if I'm caught, I'm caught. Even if I can get this up to 3,000 or 4,000 EHP, it's not likely I'm going to survive an attack from another player. So I'm more interested in being able to control my inertia, especially when I'm approaching cans. I want to approach them at full speed, orbit them, and not have to worry about floating off too far away from the can that my hack fails. So I put lots of inertia control in there. It just helps me with maneuvering around the site really fast. I have a scan Rangefinding array 1. My skills aren't quite up to level 5. That's a big train for Relic, and Relic sites are, as far as I'm concerned, the least rewarding. Maybe your experience is different, but I just have better luck and higher rewards, it seems, with data sites. So I focused on getting my data skills up first. I made that my priority, but so I'm only running a Relic Analyzer I, and the only reason for that is because I haven't, I think it's archaeology that you need at level 5 to be able to get to a Relic Analyzer IIs. But I do run a Data Analyzer II. It's really important for me. I have a just a compact Afterburner in here that does give me a chance to maybe get away if someone happens to pop in the site and I'm far enough away. I'm out of weapon range, but maybe not out of scram range, so I can maybe just sort of afterburner off and get my butt out of the site. I do like the idea that I can cloak wherever I go, so I run a covert ops cloaking device, and typically my tactic is when I go into a new low sec area, I do a lot of low sec and null sec hacking, so when I do go into a new low or null sec area, I typically right away make myself a safe spot. If you're not familiar with how to do that, I will make a video on that, and once it's done, I will post it up in the top right corner. But it's very important to have safe spots in every system in low and null sec that you visit regularly. So I'll just generally launch my probes as soon as I come into a system, warp off to my safe spot and cloak, and then I can just sit there comfortably cloaked in my safe spot, floating in space, and scan the entire system and decide what I want to do from there. I also run a Core Probe Launcher 2 with Sisters Core Scanner probes. For me, the investment in the Sisters Core Scanner probes is well worth it, and if you have the ISK to do so, I would make that investment as well. They are just far and away superior over the regular Core Scanner probes. I also run a small Memetic Algorithm Bank 1 and a small Emission Scope Sharpener 1. Okay, like I said, I will put the description of what is exactly the fit for my Cheetah in the description below. I'll put the fit in the description there. And yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take on one of these sites. You know what? The rewards are definitely worth the risk. Even the total value on my ship here is about 102 million. So just that one hack, which actually is kind of on the lower end. I've gotten several hundred million from one hack of these sites, but just that one hack alone paid me 71 million back. So you know, they're definitely worth the risk as far as I'm concerned. All right, if you've run into these sites, if you've been able to hack more than one can, why don't you let me know in the comments section below? And I really hope you guys found this video valuable. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.